Welcome to Riding the Braille Trail. I'm your host, Sean Paulson. Like me, you may have a disability, but I'm here to show you that life doesn't have to end. So what do you say? Let's hit the trail together.
Go. Oh, you got that one. Got the biggest one.
Welcome to Riding the Braille Trail. I'm Sean Paulson. This week I thought we'd talk a little bit about one of the things that's most frustrating for me, and that's the lactic acidosis and muscle failure. Throughout my life, I have always tried to be as healthy as I possibly can. I have been in martial arts since I was 10 years old. I've played sports. I like hiking and hunting, fishing, things that kept me pretty active. And when this disease started, it made it very difficult for me to continue some of those. I gained a lot of weight, and of course with the depression and everything else, it made it really difficult for me to stay in shape. After the first year of this disorder, I went back to the gym and started working out again and started getting myself healthy. However, one of the major issues with going to the gym is the lactic acidosis. What that means is that the lactic acid builds up in my muscles and it doesn't go away. It takes a very long time for it to leave my muscles. Lactic acid creates that burning feeling that you feel in your muscles if you go on like a long hike or a long walk, or if you exert yourself digging, say, a trench. I don't know what you're digging, maybe a flower garden or something. But when you're doing that and you get that burning feeling in your muscles, that's what it's like. However, for me, because it is a heightened lactic acid, there's more in my body than in most people's. That burning feeling is times 100 or 1,000. It is an extreme burn. Also, it doesn't go away. It stays that way for a long period of time. So if you think about how that burn feels and then have it go on for 2 days, that's what it's like for me. We've discovered a couple of things that actually help, and some of those are amino acids, primarily L-arginine. L-arginine helps give my body the correct environment to produce as much energy as possible. Some of the other amino acids just help with the energy and with the depletion of that lactic acid. But I take quite a few of them twice a day. In fact, when I was seeing my specialist down at the University of Utah, we went over the supplements and the amino acids that he wanted me to take. And on a daily basis, I take triple the recommended amount. And that's just so that I can make it throughout the day. Just so that I can get up in the morning and so that I can function throughout the day. When I go to the gym, I add another dose on top of that. So usually it's about 4 times the recommended dosage a day of my supplements that the doctor has asked me to take. When I go to the gym, and I do go, I prefer actually Planet Fitness. And I know a lot of you guys out there are gonna mock that it's not a gym and that they don't have everything, and I understand that. And to be really honest, I would like a lot more of the free weights. I would like to be able to do more of the types of exercises that are at, say, Gold's Gym or one of the other big chains. However, with the energy failure, I have a possibility of complete failure. And if I am using free weights and I hit that complete failure, it can actually be detrimental to me. It could drop on me. So Planet Fitness provides the machines and the other ways of doing the exercise is that I can still get my exercise in, but it's not as harmful to me. It won't create as many problems for me. If for some reason I do hit muscle failure, the worst thing that'll happen is that the machine will break. I don't have to worry about myself. There's too many safety mechanisms and too many things that make it so that it's easier for me to stay safe. So for that reason alone, Planet Fitness works very well for me. And I realize it maybe doesn't for everybody, but I'm also not looking to be a bodybuilder. I'm not looking to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I do just want to stay in shape. I want to be able to keep my physical body as strong as possible so that when it hits that failure, I have the strength to keep going and keep doing things throughout the day. So I do like Planet Fitness, and I like the way that their machines function because it makes it easier for me. But fitness has always been a big part of my life. When I was 10 years old, my dad put me into martial arts, and from that moment on, I have always tried to stay as fit and healthy as possible. Some of the exercises that I do now are geared actually towards the parts of my body that don't function very well. It also is geared to try and keep the lactic acid down as much as possible. I've learned that if I do lightweight and a lot of reps, it tends to build more lactic acid because the muscles are continually moving, continually pushing and pushing and pushing. So I use a little heavier weight and I do less reps, generally between 8 and 10. And it's not super heavy weight. Again, I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder. It's not super heavy weight, but it's enough that I can stay fit and I can keep my body at its peak performance. There are exceptions to this, like when I do core. If I'm doing anything to do with my stomach or lower back, generally I work those to exhaustion, which is very difficult because the two areas that affect me the most when it comes to the lactic acidosis are legs and core. And it's because they are the largest amount of muscles being used. And so there's a large amount of lactic acid. If you think about your legs and you think about your quads, the length and the girth of those muscles and the hamstrings and the glutes, there's huge muscles there, and there's a lot of lactic acid that builds up. Same thing with your core. Your entire core is being used. There's a lot of lactic acid that builds up. Those two areas are the hardest for me. However, with core, I still work it to the point of exhaustion. So I will do 15 or 20 reps with heavier weight. Sometimes I will do lighter weight and I will do 30, 40 reps. It takes a long time for my core to settle back down and to stop hurting, but it is probably the most effective and efficient way for me. When I do legs, I do heavy weight and small reps. So I will do a lot heavier weight and then, like I said, 8 to 10 reps, and that's all I'll do. Afterwards, I use a VibraShake. It's an instrument or a machine that you stand on and it shakes. And as it does that, it also changes in the speed of the vibration, and it helps alleviate some of that lactic acid out of my legs as well, or out of my core. That is one of the things that I have found to be one of the biggest assets, is that VibraShake. It takes that lactic acid back out of my muscles and allows me to be able to function again more quickly. The other is what's known as cryotherapy. And cryotherapy is a very interesting procedure. I don't know what else to call it. You climb into this chamber that kind of resembles a stand-up tanning bed. However, your head sticks out of the chamber and it is dropped to negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which is extremely cold. And it does it very rapidly. In about 30 seconds to a minute, you're at negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit. you're inside this chamber for about 3 minutes. And in that 3 minutes, your body goes into a fight or flight mode. And the first thing it does is shunt all the blood up into your chest to try to protect you. In doing that, it pulls all of the blood out of your muscles, which in my case also pulls out that lactic acid. And it helps me to rebuild and restore so much faster. It also releases a ton of endorphins, and that creates that rebuild and that ability to cycle through and get the lactic acid out much faster. And that is also something that is one of the best things I have ever found. As far as the muscle failure, there is absolutely no warnings. There are no precursors. It just stops. It's like turning a light switch off, and the lights go off. They just stop. That's what my muscles do. And I never know when it will happen. I could be walking through a store. I could be just sitting on the couch watching TV. I could be at the gym. Anytime that muscle can just fail. And when it happens, generally it's on my left side, and it looks very much like a stroke. And I've been hospitalized a number of times because they have believed it was a stroke, and now they realize it's just that muscle failure. However, at times it's a complete muscle failure. My entire body stops. I have no muscle tone or no strength, no ability to even move. It is the strangest feeling to think in your head, come on, stand up or move or lift your leg or your foot or your fingers, and nothing happens. You know that's what you want to happen. You're willing it so hard and nothing happens. It just stops. That is the hardest part of this, because sometimes I will spend days just in bed and I can't get out because my muscles won't allow me to. It isn't that I don't want to. I can't. It's just one of those things I had to accept, and I had to realize that in my life there are going to be can'ts, and that's one of them. That's one of the can'ts that I can't do. And when that happens, I just have to accept it and try my best to get back on my feet as quickly as possible. But hopefully this gives you an idea of what it's like for me to try and do things throughout the day and try and live through the lactic acidosis and the muscle failure, give you an idea of what I go through at the gym, some of the things that I deal with on a daily basis, and go from there. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me again. Make sure you subscribe below, and we're going to keep doing this. We're just keep doing some fun stuff. We're going to try some golfing and batting cages and different things next. Also just some of the things, my hobbies that I do around here to keep myself busy and to just keep my mind from going crazy, I guess, a little bit, and like stuff. But yeah, check out my Facebook pages. I have a book that's coming out here in the fall, and late fall, probably early winter. But anyway, I have a book here coming out at the end of the year, so I'll start talking about that more here in a little bit as well. But you know what? Let's just keep going. You can get out there and do it. Like I said, if I can do it, you guys can. Don't ever give up on your dreams or your hopes, and ride on.